Welcome, everybody. My name is Gina Gigeoju, and I'm the Program and Office Manager here at NOBEEP. I would like to welcome you all to the Introduction to Federal Procurement, the Basics of Selling to the Government of Canada webinar, in collaboration with Procurement Assistance Canada, Ontario region. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that I am broadcasting from the traditional lands of Atiklashing and Nishnabut, and that the greater city of Sudbury also includes the traditional lands of Wanapite First Nation. The rules of engagement, after the presenters are done with their presentation, they will be open for question and answer. You can either write your question in the chat or you can raise your hand. This recording will be available on our YouTube channel in the next couple of days, and it'll be up for a couple weeks or days. It will be available to everybody on our NOBEEP YouTube channel. So I'm going to pass it over to our presenters so they can introduce themselves. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Gina, for that warm introduction. And hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Bonjour à tous. My name is Iman Zikatare, and I'm a policy analyst here at Procurement Assistance Canada, Ontario region. And I'm also joined here by my colleague Indiwam, and I'll let him introduce himself shortly. And so today is just to provide you with a brief overview on an introduction to federal procurement, specifically addressing some of the myths that are associated when it comes to selling to the federal government as a small business owner. So we'll get into the presentation, and then if you have any questions at any point in time, you can type your question into the chat, or once we get to the Q&A part after the demo, you could also ask your question at that time. But maybe Indiwam, if you wanted to introduce yourself now.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Nancy. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ndiwom Yai, and I am a procurement specialist here at Procurement Assistance Canada, which is part of Public Services and Procurement Canada. It's a pleasure for me to join Imanzi in presenting the basics to selling to the Government of Canada today. We'll be glad to take your questions after the presentation and the demo. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. So let me go ahead and start to share my screen here. Okay. Can everyone see my screen, or Gina, can you confirm if you see first screen here?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. All right. I know with all these Zoom updates, sometimes it's unsure if things are working quite well, but great. So I think we'll jump right in, and definitely want to open it up for any questions, but we'll get into the presentation. So this presentation, so first off, really thank Gina and Charles and the whole team for inviting us and collaborating. We are definitely excited to connect with the Black business community in Northern Ontario. So we'll be delivering a couple of webinar sessions over the next few months, just going through the fundamentals of federal procurement. So when it comes to, as many of you are building your startups, your business, and thinking about potential customers, and you're validating your business, so looking at the federal government as a potential customer. And so these sessions are meant to be informational, to provide awareness, and also to point you to the next step when it comes to resources. And so today's presentation, we'll get into now just a bit of fundamental basics on before we get into some detailed topics when it comes to the basics of selling to government. We'll get into right now myth-busting government procurement. So addressing a lot of the myths that are associated when it comes to federal procurement. So just to set the context, so who we are, as Gina mentioned earlier, so we are a federal department called Public Services and Procurement Canada. We have offices all over Canada. And so in Indiwam, we are based here in the Ontario region. And so within PSPC, we work for a particular unit called Procurement Assistance Canada. And so our office was created back in 2005, and it was a response for providing more specific services and supports catered to small and medium businesses and helping them navigate the federal procurement process and journey. So as it states here, so we support smaller diverse businesses throughout their bidding process. We engage, we insist, we inform businesses on how to sell their goods and services to the federal government. So whether that's if you provide goods or products, or if you provide services such as media services, web development services, project management, IT, there could be various different goods and services. So we help engage businesses on, what the government buys, how do we buy it, what the potential marketplace is, where to go to find opportunities. So we engage, we assist, we inform, and we help reduce barriers. So when it comes to working with government, what are the barriers that small businesses are facing, as in particular as well, businesses from the Black business community, micro businesses also as well. And so this is something that is a key focus for us, as well as advancing supply diversity. Okay, so how much does the government buy? So when it comes to selling to the government, or when it comes to the marketplace, first of all, out of all three levels of government, so whether that's municipal, provincial, or federal, Government of Canada is one of the largest buyers of goods and services. So on average, we spend over $30 billion worth of on goods, services, and construction projects. And so awards of over 500,000 contracts and processes are close to $2 million on credit card transactions each year. And so what this last one represents is that there is lots of activity for small businesses when it comes to competing. But again, understanding the requirements, understanding how to bid, that's where we come in. And so we're kind of that in between industry and such as yourselves, businesses, entrepreneurs, startups, medium businesses also as well. And we help you kind of understand the landscape and understand how to sell to the government. And so we'll talk shortly later on in terms of where to go to find those opportunities. So when it comes to another myth that we do hear quite often is that the government doesn't buy from small businesses. And so around 90% of government contracts awarded each year are valued under $25,000. And 10% of contracts are awarded over $25,000. So what this means is that there is lots of activity that's being done under that $25K mark, in which small businesses can compete. So whether that could be if you're in food and beverage, hospitality, event management, I mentioned media, communications, so there is those opportunities for what's considered, low dollar value procurement. And we'll get into that shortly as well. But this just represents that, this is a myth that the government doesn't buy from small businesses, because traditionally, businesses that are bidding on projects at under 25K, could be representing smaller projects that are under 25K. And so this is just something to note. So another myth that we hear is that I'm too small to sell to the government. So this is another myth. And so in addition to doing business with large corporations, the government also does business with many other businesses, no matter what stage in which you're at. Depending on the project scope, depending on the nature of the requirements, there can be opportunities for you as a business owner at different stages of your business. So for example, if you're just starting out, if you're maybe in the incubation stage, you're a startup, maybe you have incorporated a business, you validated a business, you've identified, what area or commodity that you provide services in, either goods or services. If you're a sole proprietor, so there can be opportunities for you. The same thing with consulting. If you are, let's say there's only you are the only person in the business, then there can be opportunities for you also as well. If you're established, local business, startup, growing startup, or medium-sized business. Now, it is important to note that federal procurement is a very competitive landscape environment. And so it may not be for everyone, but there can be a marketplace, for you. It all depends as to what you're selling, and if the government buys what you're selling. And so we actually have a webinar or a presentation where we focus directly on what the government buys. And so this is just to note that could be various stages in which you're at, which we could do business with you. So another myth is that the government doesn't buy from businesses like mine. So this is another myth. And so the government of Canada and Public Services and Procurement Canada believes in inclusive procurement. And so what this means is that all suppliers must have an equal chance of doing business with us. And so over the last few years, there have been a number of various initiatives to ensure that we are reaching out to as many diverse-owned businesses and diversifying the supply chain. So some examples can include in terms of key priorities. So for those businesses that are in the green and clean tech space, so if you are in the environmental space, that is a key priorities in terms of reducing greenhouse gases, reducing CO2 emissions, responding to climate change. This is a high priority. If you're a women-owned or women-led business, this is also a key priority. And so recognizing that the government needs to do more business with diverse businesses, including women-owned businesses. And so usually we will do outreach engagement with women-led organizations, business organizations, and look to provide awareness and information on how the government is looking to do business with women-owned businesses. So this is another high key priority for the department, as well as equity-deserving businesses, such as racialized businesses and specifically Black-owned businesses. So in terms of Procurement Assistance Canada, Ontario region, and so Indium and I are the Black business leads for the province of Ontario, and so we cover the region. And so part of also our focus and our mandate is to reach out to the Black business community through ecosystem partners, such as the partnership that we have here today, as well as many other ecosystem partners. And so making sure that we are getting as many Black businesses ready when it comes to understanding the process, the fundamentals, how to sell to government. And so this is something that is a key focus for us. Indigenous peoples is also another key focus. And so this is also something over the last few years when it comes to doing business with Indigenous businesses, with the procurement strategy for Indigenous business, as well as new Canadian social enterprise, as well as youth, persons with disabilities, and many other priority areas. And so this is just a snapshot of, when it comes to doing outreach and engagement and engaging with the small business community, we're looking at it now from a diversity lens and making sure that it is reflective of the Canadian society and the Canadian economy. So another myth is that the government doesn't buy what I sell. So this is another myth. And so usually when you think about federal procurement, you may think about the usual commodities, whether it's technology, military, professional services, but there's so many more commodities that the government may buy from. So I'll use an example earlier. So catering service, there could be many, small catering services in terms of providing hospitality, food and beverage. That could also be an opportunity where they're for procurement. Even retail, clothing, shower curtains, maybe you provide, those types of products. There could be departments that'll be looking for those areas. And so when it comes to the marketplace, it's also good to understand who the customers are. And so in the case of federal procurement, the customers would be the federal departments and agencies. So whether that would be, Department of National Defense, whether that would be a Canada Revenue Agency, Health Canada, Department of Northern Affairs. And so this is something to understand in terms of whom that you're selling to and what their needs are. So another myth is that government procurement is difficult and time consuming. So this is another myth. And so with government procurement, so all procurement must be done open, fair, and transparent. So this is very important to know. And so, it is quite different than the private sector. And so with government procurement, we must ensure that everyone has an equal chance of doing business with us, and that federal laws and regulations, as well as Treasury Board of Canada's policies, guides how the Government of Canada's procurement process. And so there have been some recent initiatives to make procurement more accessible. So, back in the day, you used to have to just, submit your bid in person, by a certain date, a certain closing deadline. Over the last few years, we've seen that many of these processes could actually be streamlined and done electronically. So in terms of submission of electronic bids, receiving that, as well as, plain language. And so how do we take the bid document and make it in a way that's easily accessible? So that is also a key area in terms of making it more accessible, reducing barriers to entry. And so part of our role at Procurement Assistance Canada is also to understand what prevents small businesses, and in this case, what prevents, Black-owned businesses from participating in federal procurement, right? So what are the challenges that they face? Is it the documentation? Is it, understanding? Is it fundamentals? Is it, the opportunities are maybe not there? And so these are also some examples where it comes to understanding the marketplace, understanding the needs of businesses specifically, and looking to address those barriers. So that's also part of our role as well. So another myth is that government procurement is centralized. So when it comes to doing business with the government, and we go through this, in all our introductory presentations, is we're looking at selling to government, and you could sell to different levels of government. So many of you, are in Northern Ontario or maybe in different parts in the region, and so there could be opportunities for you to sell at the municipal level. So at the city level, whether it's the city of Sudbury, right, or Thunder Bay or anything like that, or it could be at the provincial level and even at the federal level. So when it comes to at the federal level, so it's not just one single client, right? So it's not just all the departments are based in Ottawa. So for large and more complex projects, those would be managed through our department at PSPC. But there's over 100+ departments and agencies that do their own buying of goods and services. And so, as I mentioned earlier, so if you're in Western Canada, there could be departments over there, Department of Fisheries and Oceans, Health Canada, same thing. In Ontario, there's Department of Fisheries and Oceans, there is, Department of National Defense, and as within the different regions, some regions may have a higher concentration of various, federal departments and agencies in which, there is a need to do procurement, in those regions, based on what those departments are looking to do. So looking at the whole picture, there is a lot of procurement opportunities across Canada. So when it comes to competitive procurement, so procurement, which is above, and this is now where we start getting into some of the details in terms of what to look for. And so there's two types. There's a competitive procurement, and then there's non-competitive procurement. And competitive procurement, which means if it's above these amounts, so if it's over 25,000 for a good, let's say, they want to, federal department wants to purchase office furniture or furnishing for an office or anything like that. Or if it's, sorry, excuse me. If it's over 25,000 for goods, over 40,000 for services, these would need to go through a process in which the bids would need to be openly posted online, which would be on our Canada Buys government electronic tendering system. And it could be a variety of different methods that can be used. So in some cases, it could just be an RFP, a request for proposal. In some cases, you may need to be pre-qualified. So if you're in the professional services space, you provide, specific services, and if those services are being bought on a frequent basis, so that the government department may look to establish a pool of pre-qualified suppliers, such as a standing offer or supply arrangement. So in order to get business or to sell, you may need to get first pre-qualified as a supplier, go through that process. And then once an opportunity does come up, then those businesses that have been pre-qualified would then be eligible to then bid. So these are in some cases, whether it's in IT projects or non-IT projects, project management, change management, business, consulting, sometimes there may need to be that pre-qualification. But it is important to indicate the tender notice will show how the bid is going to be done. So it's important to look at that document. So low dollar value procurement. So when it comes to low dollar value procurement, it is important to note, so if it's under 25,000 for a good and under 40,000 for services or 100,000 for construction, in those cases, this would be considered a low dollar value procurement. And so what this means is that these opportunities wouldn't necessarily be posted online on our Canada Buys platform. And so these opportunities could be directly from government buyers. They may just reach out to a supplier. Once you've registered, you create a profile in the database for Canada Buys, and they could just reach out to you through that method. Or maybe they just search you up online if they're looking for, let's say their department wants to provide, catering service, hospitality services for, a one-time event, for a conference. And so they may look to set up those opportunities on there. And so also registering as a supplier to increase your visibility. And so when you are creating your profile, this will also be visible to government buyers, as well as having a good functioning website. So if you have a good functioning website, this is also an opportunity to expose your business to government buyers. So figuring out selling to the government is right for you. So one of the things that you could do is to go to, this is now the main platform where you would go. So again, when we're talking about, understanding the fundamentals, the basics on selling to government, one of the first things you need to do, and we'll show you shortly, we'll get into the demo, is going through the Canada Buys. So canadabuys.canada.ca, this is where you would go to figure out if selling to the government is right for you. This is a free platform. You don't have to pay to use this platform. You can search using keywords, and you could search for various goods and services that are on here. And this is also where you would go to see if there's a marketplace for you. And so one of the more common questions we do get quite often is, what does the government of Canada buy, right? And so on here, on Canada Buys, this is where you would go in to start searching to see, is there a history of what I could be potentially selling to the government? Has the government bought before in the past? And if so, how much? Who is buying it? What department? What are the requirements? So you can, even if there is like an active opportunity, you could see, you could open it up, see what the requirements are, and see if if you're eligible to bid. In some cases, as you're getting it involved, especially if you're very new, starting out, it's a good thing to understand the environment, to understand what's needed. In some cases, maybe it could be a good, you could be a situation where you not may need, but there could be opportunities for you to partner up with another business. And so on here, this is also where you would go. You could even indicate if you're interested in partnering with another business. And so this is where you would go. But we'll show you quickly on the demo side how to access this. And so Canada Buys right now is the official source for searching for Government of Canada procurement. And also not just Government of Canada procurement, but as well as other levels of government. So more and more you will see opportunities posted on here from municipal governments, provincial, hospitals, school boards, international. So this is where you could go, create your profile, register, and access everything that's required when it comes to federal procurement, but even other procurement opportunities. So just to wrap up here in terms of Procurement Assistance Canada, so in terms of our core services that we deliver to the public, all their services are free. And so we provide free webinar seminars such as this to help you understand the procurement process and to help you find opportunities, as well as one-on-one meetings. So we also meet directly with businesses. So we can schedule a meeting with you, set up a time to meet virtually, and then we can answer any specific questions that you may have about the process and specifically about your business and potential opportunities. So that would probably be the best ways in terms of attending some of our webinars, but happy to see that we're collaborating here with our partner here, and then also as well following up with us at any point in time. And in terms of where you could go to find us, we have offices all over Canada. So we are coming from the Ontario region. Our office is in Toronto, but we cover all across the province. And so hopefully looking forward to traveling hopefully in the near future to Northern Ontario and to meet with the Black business community there. But if you're coming from another province, we all provide the same services and programs, so you can connect with those PAC offices. And lastly, in terms of next steps, so we do have a website we'll put into the chat. But our main website is canada.ca/PAC. That's our Procurement Assistance Canada website. And then the getting started. So we'll show you shortly in terms of Canada Buys, that information in terms of where to go. Okay, so I'll stop sharing my screen here. And then I will pass it over to my colleague Indum to do a quick demo there on Canada Buys.
Thank you so much, Emanzi. I will start sharing my screen, and you've explained in detail what Canada Buys is, so I'll be going straight into the demo. I hope everyone can see my screen now.
Not yet.
Okay, great. So this is the homepage of Canada Buys. The URL.
We can't see it
We
yet.
cannot see
Sorry.
your screen.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, not yet. Sorry, not yet. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Times with technology. So it is actually showing that it is shared. So let me just stop and then start over again. So this is script 1, this is device. Can you see now?
Yes,
Perfect,
it's
yes.
working now.
C'est parfait.
Oh, great. Sorry about the inconvenience in the beginning. So this is the URL of the website, canadabuys.canada.ca, and it is in both English and French. So this is the home page. And on the home page, you have tabs that are really very important. I'll briefly go through all of them. We have the Getting Started tab here, which leads you to where you'll find how to enroll yourself as a supplier, how to start the selling process. And then the Tender Opportunities tab here, which leads you to where you search for opportunities, like open opportunities, award notices and contract history. And then how procurement works is where you'll find like various policies governing public procurement. And then the support tab is where you'll find various resource guides on how to navigate the website. Then account access is the link between Canada Buys and SAP Ariba. So the account here is not actually Canada Buys account, but SAP Ariba. So let me just show you how the homepage looks like. Like from the homepage, if I just scroll down, you'll see how it looks like. But for the benefit of time, I'll go straight to Tender Opportunities tab to show you how to look for opportunities. So when you click here, you have this page. And here in the middle of the page, you have a search bar where you could use plain language keywords to search for your services or goods. And then you have filters where you can refine your filters to suit your specific search. It's actually making it easier for you to be able to have the result just specific to what you are looking for. And then in Canada Buys, you can follow a search. Following a search means creating email notifications to be notified every time something is published related to the search term you have used. And bookmarking it, we all know what bookmark is. It's just to give easy access to the search. And by default, we have awarded and open filters, which means the table down here. You have open tenders here, like open notices, award notices, is to enable you see what the government has awarded as tender, to who the awards are for, and which department is buying, and contract history right here. Emanzi talked about the possibility of finding out whether the government is buying what you are selling, and you could have that idea through these award notices and contract history. So without wasting any time, let me just do a quick demo to search for something like, let's say, cleaning. If you are offering cleaning services and any other service, you could use the same method. You could put cleaning and then on filters. Since we are in Ontario, or maybe even before going to the location, you can actually filter results by category. For example, if you're offering services, you may just check off services. Same for goods, construction services, and another thing. And then notice type, you have like there are various common solicitation methods which the government is using, like the request for proposal, request for supply arrangement, and request for standing offers. These two other methods, that request for standing offers and request for supply arrangements, are actually pre-qualification methods. So you bid on them to become pre-qualified suppliers, whereas request for proposals results directly into a contract. So this one, you may leave it like this. And then status is where you have those default filters, open and awarded. And then location started by commenting about this. Like we are in Ontario, you could simply check off Ontario to, Canada to have like results Canada-wide. You could drill down to province, for example. We are in Ontario. We could drill down and then just check off Ontario. You could even drill down to city level. For the sake of this demo, I will just leave Canada-wide. And for the more ambitious ones, like you want to go beyond Canada, you could just look through this list as well, and including opportunities from NATO. And when you set your filters, remember to apply the filter by clicking here. Now, on this table, now you see the numbers have dropped. We have 20 award notices, having at least a keyword cleaning in it. So let's say you've done this search, you've gone through this list and you see, oh, they all look like what I'm looking for. And then you don't want to be coming back every time to launch a set. What you can do is you come here, click on follow this search, and then it'll bring you to this page where you have 3 options to set up notifications. But the one that comes by default is email. And then below here, you see the keyword you have used, and you see the filters that you set. If you don't want to create notification, you could simply click here and go back to the search, or you could continue and then put your contact information. And then below here, this is a reminder of what you are setting up notification for. If you want to limit it maybe to only open tenders, you just uncheck these ones. Otherwise, you can leave it like that. And remember to click create an email notification. So every time something is published with a keyword cleaning, you will receive a notification. And let's say you've gone through the list, and then this one, canopy cleaning from the Department of National Defense. You open it, you go through the oh, this is an award notice. So let me go to open tenders. It's this one. So let's say this, why is it just defaulting to awarded? Okay, so now on tender notices, so let's say this opportunity from Correctional Services Canada is the one you're interested in. You open it, and then to find the solicitation details there under the bidding details tab, description will give you a brief description of what the services are, and on the same page you will see any trade agreements that are applicable to this particular solicitation. And further down, you see the link where you can click on it to express an interest to partner with another business. So let's say this is something you feel you can offer, you can deliver, but you think you might not be able to meet all the evaluation criteria. And in that way, you might want to maybe like partner with another business, and it is through this tab that you can express your interest. All solicitations will be like this. All opportunities here on Canada Buys will appear like this with a title right up here. And here on the right side, you have the time to closing, which gives you like a quick view of how much time is left for this particular opportunity to expire. And you can set up email notifications as well for this particular opportunity. Let's say you want to be notified whenever maybe something is published, like an amendment or whatsoever. You simply click on follow this search, and then follow the exact same steps I showed earlier for setting up notifications for a search. Now, after the description, you have the contact information. This is where you have information about the contracting authority and the contracting organization. The contracting authority is the only point of contact for this particular solicitation. For your information, we in Procurement Assistance Canada do not provide assistance to suppliers on active solicitation. This is to ensure fairness in the process and to ensure that all suppliers have an equal chance on this solicitation. So there is always a time period that is reserved for questions during the bidding process. So if you have a question, direct the question to the contracting authority, and then they will review it. They will not respond to you directly, but they can post a response in form of an amendment so everybody is aware of it. And to see the solicitation documents like the scope of work or services, it is under the bidding details. And during the presentation, Emanzi made mention of some solicitations that will require electronic bidding. So if this particular solicitation required electronic bidding, meaning you have to go to SAP Ariba to view the solicitation document and then bid there. Instead of seeing this table right here, you see but a link, and the link will direct you to SAP Ariba. This particular one doesn't require electronic bidding, so you find the solicitation documents right here. So simply download it. It is a request for supply arrangement, and then go through the details and see if it is the opportunity for you. And then related notices is in case there is maybe an award notice or contract history related to this same service, you will find it listed here. And then on the right-hand side, this small column gives summary information about the solicitation. It states the notice type, which is request for standing offer, as I said earlier, and then the duration, the UNSPS code, which is this one right here. You could also take note of it to use as a search as well. And basically, this is how you search for opportunities, follow searches and notices, and that is it. So for the benefit of time, I will quickly go down to the footer of the page to show you how you can access contract history. Let's say you are still not convinced on whether the government buys what you are selling. Come down to the footer here and then go to open government, click on it, and then you find, just scroll down and then you find contracts over $10,000. Here you can use your keyword to search using this search bar, just to search to see what the government has bought in the past. You can equally download contract history, and that is done through this tab here, procurement data. Here, procurement and contracting data. So when you click it, it brings you to this page where you can download contract history. In the next 2 minutes, I will show you how to register your account as a supplier, and you can do that by coming back to the home page and going to the Getting Started page, and then the system is a bit slow. So from the Getting Started page, it will take you to this page. Follow the Start the Selling process under the business section, and then come down here. You see information on SAP Ariba, Canada Revenue Agency, procurement business number. Just click on these links and follow a lot of good resources there. And then I'll quickly show you the resource, the support page for resources to assist you. Let's say you are trying to understand how to do certain things or how to navigate a site. Come down here and then click on resources. It will bring you here where you have a search bar. Resources that are actually arranged by category. You can click on it. just go through to see if the challenge you're having, there is already a step-by-step guideline there in the system. And if you have any problem, you can contact the Canada BICE and SAP Ariba support or team via phone, by email, or you could chat with an agent during opening hours between 7 a.m. and 7, I think it's 5 p.m. if I'm not making a mistake. So we have just 3 minutes. I will stop here and then we'll take any questions. So this was really, really brief. Feel free to reach out to us to request for a 30 minutes one-on-one session where we could take you through some of the steps or answer any questions that you have.
Great, thank you, Indium, for the really good demo. So yeah, so in terms of the content, so this would be the content for today, but I know we have a small group here today, but if anyone has any questions, yeah, at least we could take the next few moments for any questions, or if anything needs to be emphasized again, we can also go back to that.
Thank you guys so much for the presentation. And I know that because of time, you're going through it like really quickly. But the only question is like, you know, when you say getting started page, given that like most of like the interpret, you know what, I see Chika, you have a question. In my question, I think I'll just schedule a one-on-one to get it answered. So Chika, go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chika, and I'm sorry my video is turned off because somewhere not very conducive to open my video. Thank you for this opportunity, and it's well appreciated. I have a question concerning the tender opportunities and how to source for this. So I have like a home care, senior home care, and it's been like putting a thread through the eyes of a needle to get things done, because here in Ontario, it has to go through this, it has to go through that, and it has to finally come from the government. And I know you had said it's a myth, but I think it's realistic for me and not a myth that small businesses cannot get contracts from, you know, this portal that you just shared. Yet to be convinced, and the requirements are so much that small businesses cannot meet up with. Is there a link? Is there an intermediary for small businesses to be able to, like, it's a big deal competing with Bayshore, whom the government feel, oh, they've been in the business for a while and they still get all the contracts. And the funny thing is, they still don't have the staff to do the businesses, to do the job. Now, there are other small businesses who can afford to, you know, but they don't get that contract. Is there something that maybe I'm not doing right, or somewhere I have to visit, something like that?
Yeah, this is a great question, and we do hear it quite often. Each solicitation here on Canada BICE will have details of the requirement and another section called the basis of selection. And the section of basis of selection will detail the selection criteria, how the winning supplier will be selected. So the key thing here is to try as much as possible to address all the selection criteria. And then there may be like mandatory criteria and point base. And point base is usually like coming in to supplement the mandatory, and it has to do like with experience. But in any case, if you see an opportunity and you think you can offer, but there are certain criteria you think you cannot meet, you may want to look for a bigger company that you think can meet the requirement, and then try to reach out to them. I showed a link where you could express your interest to partner with another business. So you could let them know you have the right resources and everything, but the only thing is that you may not be able to meet the entire selection criteria. You will be willing to work with them as their subcontractor if they win. I think this is one of the easiest way to have your foot in. I don't know if Manzi have something to add.
Sorry, yeah, just trying to unmute things. Yeah, no, and India made a great point, and I definitely hear your point, Chika. Yeah, because that's definitely one thing that we do hear quite often. And sometimes depending on the industry that you're in, and from what I gather, I guess it was, you know, in whether it's healthcare related or healthcare management related, and some things, I guess if it's maybe healthcare related, maybe there's some opportunities at the provincial level, and you know that could be a separate process when it comes to procurement. But generally, in some cases, in terms of getting that experience, yes, may be an opportunity for you to collaborate, you know, with an existing business, a larger business, in which you could focus and do a bit of the project, at least to get that experience. And that we have seen examples of that, of, you know, really smaller business, because there's some businesses that focus in certain parts within the supply chain, right? And so some may be very niche and focus on one particular area, or maybe multiple areas, but that's one of the ways in which to get that experience, to engage with those right people, so that when you are ready maybe to bid on those larger projects, because some of the larger projects may mean more resources may be required in terms of expertise or in terms of personnel, then you could be in a better position that time. But yeah, I definitely understand what you mean, and sometimes it's looking at it at a step by step. And so even, you know, maybe in terms of some of the requirements, maybe looking at municipal level governments at a local level, because some of their requirements can be quite lower, or maybe not as strenuous, probably mostly be a competitive process, but their requirements and their thresholds may be much lower when it comes to at the federal level. And so that could be one of the ways in which you could also get involved, and to hopefully, you know, build that experience up. But thanks for that question. And yeah, and we're here also to really, and part of our role is to, again, to hear some of that feedback. So if you definitely, when it comes to feedback, you know, at the federal level, some at the provincial and municipal level, we can't directly. There's some tables, yes, they could sort of share that feedback indirectly to our colleagues at provincial and at the municipal. But at the federal, this is where we want to hear the feedback, in particular of also Black businesses. And so we also want to know, you know, what industries are Black businesses in, so that, you know, we could then inform our procurement buyers so that they know, you know, what the capacity is in terms of matching up the demand and also supply. And so something we forgot to mention during the presentation is that a few years ago, we launched the social procurement policy. And what that is at the federal level, so what that is a framework for which the government is going to use its public federal procurement to achieve social economic objectives by doing business with diverse business owners, such as women-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses, racialized businesses. And so right now we're waiting for the next steps in the social procurement program, which will provide a framework for doing more business, you know, with diverse business owners. And so, you know, there can be opportunities, you know, down the road where they're looking to do specific communities. We did do a pilot a couple of years ago a Black business pilot procurement. So the first time this was ever done from the department, and that, got a lot of the lessons learned and the feedback. And so part of the feedback is that, making sure, many Black businesses and many other small business owners just understanding the process, understanding fundamentals, so that when our opportunities do come up, they'll be better prepared to respond to it. And if there is specific procurements for specific communities, then they'll be able to respond.
Okay.
So Chika, because Imanzi and Dum, you suggested that she can collaborate with the bigger companies. This is something that she can do within the canadabuys.canada.ca.
Yeah, because contacting the individual company doesn't work. Like they don't want to. So if canadabuy.canada.ca is a platform, I think it's going to be worth trying it out.
Yeah, so it's there, like there is like that section there, in which you could indicate that you're interested. So you never know, if other businesses are also looking at that same bid, and maybe they're saying, you know what, we're looking to potentially outsource some of this project to other business owners. Who can we collaborate on there? So yes, there is that mechanism. And in some cases, yes, in some industries, I don't know if you belong to a industry association, there's also, those opportunities where you can kind of, connect and network, but that's something.
Yeah,
Okay.
especially as you said, at times most of those companies don't have the resources, so you're going to trust them to say, hey, we have the resources. If you win, then we could provide the resources. You could subcontract the job for us and we'll do it. So I'm just dropping in the chat a step-by-step process on how you could express your interest to partner with another business.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and feel free to, so we did provide like our email address here, and so we'd love to connect with you, India and I would love to connect with you again and answer any specific questions. So feel free to reach out to us, and we could schedule a 30-minute call and just get more specific information about your business, and we could dive deeper into this Canada Buys, regarding your business.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Duom and Imanzi, for taking the time to deliver this webinar to us. And we'll definitely share your contact information to all the participants if they wanted to have a one-on-one meeting with you. So thanks again, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
All right, take care.
Have a good
Bye.
day.
Bye-bye.